we are now live. So, today's class is going to be about investments and business brokerage. So, investments. Usually I like to ask, what is an investment? Great answer. Okay, you work in banks, so what, is that your notes in your hand?
So yeah, anything that's important, I write it down on my hand.
Why isn't the whole chapter there?
You put money in and then you expect a return on your investment.
So you're saying that an investment is where you put money in and you get returns?
Yes.
That's what you're saying?
Yeah.
Can you invest without putting money?
Yeah.
So technically an investment is not putting money in. Putting something of value into something and trying to get a return out of it. Yes? Okay, great. So when we're talking about investments, here's what you need to remember. There's different types of investments. There's investments where you put money, as you were saying, Kevin, right? And there's investments where you put your time and effort. Like this. I mean, you put money as well, but now you're putting your time into it. Or your work. If you go to work, you're putting time, and in exchange you get a paycheck, something in return, correct? Now traditionally we call those exchange. So it's not really investments because it's an exchange of your time for money, right? Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay. Now if you do well, that's what you plan on. The investment is something else. If you do well, you expect a raise, a better position or a better salary, correct? That's what you expect. So again, you invest in your time, your effort, your mind into it, sometimes your patience at that job, right? In order to get something better later on. What about relationships? Anybody in a relationship? Say louder.
Patience.
You gotta have patience. All right, but if you're in a relationship, that means we invested into the relationship. Maybe with time, depending on the relationship, maybe with money, right? And you expect something in return. Either a long-term relationship or stability, as some people like it. It's sad to say, but some people don't even like where they are, just like jobs, but they prefer the stability. Does that make sense? And they hold on to it. It's an investment. You guys got it? Now, what about today's Monday? What is it? Cash for Life today is what's out there in the lottery. Cash for Life. I think it is.
Only you're keeping track?
Sorry?
Only you're keeping track?
Yes, of course. I always play. But this is my question. Sorry, I had to take down the music. All right, so here's my question. If you put money into a lottery ticket, you expect something in return, correct? That's an investment, isn't it? Yes? Are you guys here with me today? There was one rule from day one, which I said, if I ask a question, you guys reply with yes. Even if it's not true, or even if you don't understand, just reply. Don't just nod your head.
Yes.
Yes, yes, thank you. Can I get another yes?
Yes.
All right, amen. All right. All right, cool. So it just helps me. It helps all this flow, because if you guys are just nodding your head, pretty soon I'm going to be nodding my head. Not saying a word. All right, cool. So back to investments. We talked about business. We talked about putting money into something. We talked about your time. We talked about relationships, and now gambling. Yes?
Yes.
Great. My question now is, these could be classified as low, medium, or high-risk investments, correct? Thank you.
Yes.
Great. Thank you. There's only 3 missing. All right. Devin, and awesome. I got 6 yeses. Yes. So low risk, medium risk, high risk investments. So technically, we can classify everything as risk. So an investment equals, you didn't return the credit cards, did you?
Yes.
All right. So investment could be classified as risk. And I want you guys to write risk next to investment. So the way I see it, your job is a low risk investment. Why? Because you put your time into it, no money. You just have to drive to it and drive away, right? And in return, at the end of the week or every 2 weeks, what do you get? Money. You get paid. Yes? There might be, because it's a low risk investment, there's always the chance of that job not being there tomorrow. But what are the odds of that? So low risk. Medium risk, I like to talk about relationships. Because here, see, a company is something solid. Traditionally, it's there. But relationships is between two people. And the biggest variable in every business and in every relationship and in every investment, the biggest variable are people. So if there's only two of you, what are the odds of one of you screwing up?
Big chance.
Big chance. And I'm not saying screw up like something ridiculous, but what I'm saying is it starts creating friction, and then eventually it's over. Does that make sense so far? So it's a medium risk. It could last forever, or it could, after 20 years, these are true stories, after 20 years or 30 years, relationships end for no apparent reason. It's always a risk. We just plan for the long term. Sometimes it happens short term, medium, or long term, and it's done. So I call it medium risk. Now, high risk investments. Let me ask you something. How much do you need, if you guys know, how much money do you need to put into the lottery? To win those millions, the mega millions, the Powerball, the cash for life, how much money do you need to win? A few years ago, it used to be $1 in a dream. Now it's $2, same dream, right? So you don't put a lot of money. Is this a low risk, medium risk, or high risk investment? Low risk? Why?
Oh.
Why is it a low risk?
Very, very high risk.
Very, very high risk, of course. It's a low cost of entry, but the odds, the chances of you winning the millions is 0.0000001%. So most likely, you put $2 and you keep on dreaming. That's it. You're not going anywhere. If it happens, great. If it doesn't happen, be ready. You wasted $2. You see what I'm trying to say? See, a job, you work, week later you get paid. Almost guaranteed. Relationship, it will last for a little bit. Almost guaranteed. The gambling is $2, low cost of entry, but barely any return. And you have to expect that as high risk. There's difference between high risk and high cost of entry. What are you doing right here? $300 for the class, right? Once you get your license, to activate the license, $160. $66 for the fingerprinting, $45 for the state exam. Eventually, depending on the brokerage you go to, most brokerages are part of the National Association of Realtors. So you're going to have to pay $500 to be part of the National Association of Realtors. Then the MLSs, $60, $70, whatever. Let's say $1,000 is the total for you to start your business. Now, this is a medium risk business. Why? Because it depends on you. And if it depends on you, it could be low risk, medium risk, or high risk, but I start with medium. And the first 6 months to a year, you might not make any money whatsoever. You guys understand? But again, it's low cost. You're listening to me on the way? But again, it's low cost of entry. It's only $1,000 to start the business. Has anybody ever opened up a business before? An actual business, a store, or whatever? Anybody?
My dreams.
Just in your dreams? How much did you spend in your dreams?
Nothing.
That's a good dream. I wish.
It's free a dream. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a free dream.
Well, here's the thing. The average business to be open is around $100,000. Small retail stores, maybe 20, 30. Going to a large retail store or restaurant business or whatever, you're looking at 100, 200,000. Does that make sense? That's high cost for the results you're going to get. Here, $1,000 total to start. No overhead, no headaches. right? It's a great investment. But I still call it medium risk, again, because of that variable. You guys got it? So investment. You guys are investing your time, you invest your money. In order to expect a return in this business, it's still a risk. You can make it low risk, you can make it high risk, but still a risk. You guys got it? Cool. With that being said, now that Tiffany's here.
I was listening. I heard Kevin. I heard everybody.
You heard everybody? All right.
Everybody.
You heard Cannabis Kevin too?
Kevin, yeah, he started off.
Yeah.
I was here.
I was surprised he was here. Anyway,
I didn't hear you though.
Me? I wasn't here.
she was the loudest one, you kidding? Just to sit here in the front?
You can actually hear everything.
I know.
But that hurt her all the way back.
Oh, that's, yeah. She was standing anyway. Projected even more the voice. Alright. And Travis just doodles away. Alright, cool. So let's talk about investments. I told you low risk, medium risk, or high risk, right? But because we are in real estate, we're going to talk about the advantages of real estate investment. Does anybody know advantages of real estate investment? Without reading?
Reduction. Potential.
Say louder.
Reduction.
The first thing you think about real estate is if I own a house, I pay less taxes. That's the very first thing I'm going to think about, Kevin.
But
Travis, help me, please. What'd you say?
what did I say? I said,
All right, Tiffany, take over. Since Travis is not going to pass anyway, thanks to you. Go ahead. What'd you say?
Rental income?
Rental income. Taxes, really? Deductions?
taxes, right?
The first thing I think of is rental income. He's looking at, hey, I don't pay as much taxes. Let's get real estate to avoid taxes.
Well,
No.
he's looking at what you can write off, but you can't really write much off. Versus
That-
with the income.
Listen, you can, depending on the type of real estate you have,
Oh.
but, you know. But the first thing I think of when it comes to real estate is rental income. Enough rental income where I don't need a salary, where I can quit the Wells Fargo job. You got it? No longer the suit, no longer whatever. You could be comfortable all day, wear whatever you want, you know. That's it. You got it? But yes, deductions. You might be able, we're going to talk about that later. You might be able to apply for deductions from your investments. All right? It all depends on where the properties are located and the types of property you're investing in. But yes, very high deductions that we can take advantage of. Anyway, so traditionally, real estate investments have shown an overall rate of return generally higher than the prevailing interest rate charged by mortgage lenders. So that's one of the advantages. That means we pay for something, but what we get in return pays for that something. So it doesn't have to come out of our pocket. That's what we try to get, right? Now, return includes total income, both direct cash flow and indirect benefits, such as depreciation and appreciation. Now, often investors borrow money to finance real estate purchase with the expectation that if held long enough, the asset will yield a greater return than it costs to finance the purchase. Using money borrowed this way is called leverage. There's more coffee just in case. All right. I have stronger coffee in the kitchen if you want, in case that doesn't work. Okay. All right, cool. So here's my question. I always ask the same question in every class. You have $100,000 cash right now in the bank. You see an opportunity, right? You have it. You just confirmed that that's what you said. I was like, yeah. All right. What's 100,000? I got more than that. Right? No.
I wish I could have.
You can have. One day. We'll talk about that. Now, you have $100,000 and an opportunity presents itself for you to buy a house that costs $100,000. Okay? What would you do? You have $100,000 cash. Opportunity to buy a house that's $100,000.
I'll just put some money on it. I want to put all of it. And then I invest the rest of the money with other houses.
Okay? So what you're saying is, instead of putting the whole 100,000, you would put a portion of it. How? Hey, this house is 100,000. I'm only putting $5. Give it to me.
Finance the property.
You finance the property, so
There you go.
complete, right? Because I know you know, so complete everything. I'll put portion of it, I'll finance the rest. Why? Because traditional, we talked about this in conventional loans, right? Conventional loans, they look at 20% down payment. So if I have $100,000, I could put $20,000 down and I still have 80. I'll finance the rest. What if I see another property for $100,000? What can I do? Do the same thing and I still have 60. What if I see another one? I mean, how many times can I do this with the same 100,000? 5 times. Does that make sense? Now, obviously, these properties must give some type of return, or you won't be able to do this 5 times. So it has to be the right numbers. Low risk to medium risk investments. If it's a high risk investment, doesn't matter how much money you have, nobody's going to lend to you. Because that first asset becomes a high risk investment. You guys understand? When you own other properties and you go to finance one, they always look at what you have. And it could be positive or it could be negative. That's why we talked about single families wouldn't be the best initial investment because they weigh negatively on your property, on your financial situation. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So leverage is where you put something in without using all of it. Okay? Next, says here, real estate markets vary widely, with real estate prices keeping pace with inflation in some areas, holding their own in other states, and dropping sharply elsewhere. So you know the recession does not apply everywhere, right? The bigger states are the ones that get affected right away, except for New York. But in New Jersey, we saw a huge drop in prices. New Jersey got hit big time in the recession. Some properties went down to half or even a third of their original value, right? In some areas, it doesn't affect as much. Manhattan didn't get affected the same way we did, right? So any real estate investor must make take local conditions into account before making decisions. That's why when somebody wants to invest, I always try to figure out, wait a minute, where and how. Tell me about the market you're trying to invest in. Show me that you understand that market, and then I'll explain to you what to do or not to do. But is real estate beautiful? Everything is sunshine, right? No problems, no issues.
We all wish.
We wish, right? Right?
Yeah.
There are advantages, and there are, of course, disadvantages, right? So, unlike stocks and bonds, real estate is not highly liquid over a short period of time. What does that mean? It means it's not like your checking account that you go there and say, I got 100,000, as we just talked about, let me take 20. Can you do that with real estate? No. Stocks and bonds, they're trading on the market daily, hourly, by the minute. So what can we do? Cash out whenever we want. Immediately, or almost immediately. Real estate, if you need the money that quick, you might have to sell it at a really low price. So you have a loss in order to make the money. Do you guys understand? That's one of the disadvantages of real estate, not being able to tap into that money quickly. Any questions on this? No. All right. In addition, right here, in addition, it is difficult to invest in real estate without some degree of expert advice. The investment decision must be made based on a careful study of all facts in a given situation, reinforced by a broad and thorough knowledge of real estate and the manner in which it affects and is affected by the marketplace. What did I tell you the biggest variable was in every transaction or every relationship? People. So the human element. The marketplace is affected by people. And we talked about this in supply and demand. There's not enough demand, too much supply, prices drop. So is it a good investment if prices are dropping? Possibly not. You guys got it?
Mm-hmm.
Is it a good advice if good investment if the prices are rising? Not always. You need to know what's happening to the market and the purchase, right? Human element. Now, all investors should seek Legal and tax counsel before making any real estate investments. Now, I'm not too concerned, I always say this in every class, I'm not too concerned with the legal advice, because again, in New Jersey, you don't have to use an attorney in order to close on a 1-4 family, right? That means it's not what's most important here. You should, but you don't have to. What I do advise you to always have is tax counsel. Why? Because the IRS does not forgive, nor forgets. You know, forgive and forget, right? No, neither one of them. So if you don't prepare your taxes properly, right, you might raise a red flag. And you don't want that to happen. We're going to talk about this later in the chapter. You don't want a red flag to be raised and then, hey, let's open Travis's books and see what Travis has. Ooh, Travis's cousin has been contributing to Travis. Let's check this out, huh? Now, wait a minute, let's audit the rest. Bank accounts. Ooh, the whole family's been contributing to Travis. You see what I'm saying? And then they catch that wife on the side. Even worse. Forgive, but don't forget. I'm telling you, I don't forget anything. What was that? First and second day?
Yeah, that was.
I don't forgive, no, don't forget. Anyway.
But you made it up, though. I didn't say white folks.
Did I say it?
Or it was somebody else.
It was me.
It was
It was you? Yeah, it wasn't me, though.
And he went with it. I'm just like, hey, wife.
say it.
Did you agree with it?
I didn't agree.
Mhm. You know what? Usually, if I was your attorney, I would say right now, shut up. The more you say, the worse it is.
We are live, so.
You've heard that, right? That legal
Yeah.
counsel, sometimes you start excusing yourself too much. Like, don't, shut up. Stop. Knock you out. Don't speak. Anyway.
I didn't say anything.
See?
That's right. He's saying right. It's being recorded. You can go right.
For the record.
For the record. That's right.
Anyway. You got witnesses, it's okay. All right. Rarely can an investor sit idly by and watch his or her money grow. Okay, hold on. We have questions. Let's see.
The live takes me directly to YouTube. Is that right?
Mhm. So we have here Lucy saying good evening. Elfrida, or El, as you guys know, says she's very sick. I don't know what you guys did to her, but that's it. She's very sick at home. So, just one person. Feel better, come back giggling. Giggle hard. All right, so rarely can the real estate investor sit idly by and watch his or her money grow. Management decisions must be made. For example, can the investor effectively manage the property personally, or would it be better to hire a professional property manager? How much rent should be charged? How should repairs and tenant grievances be handled? A lot of people want to invest in real estate, but they don't want that 2 o'clock in the morning call about the clogged toilet, right? Nobody wants that. 2 o'clock in the morning, really? Just wait to do what you need to do tomorrow morning, right? I'll come by then.
Go outside.
Go outside, there you go. Like back in the old days, I go to the backyard, dig a hole, easy. But here's the thing, unfortunately, it doesn't always work that way.
I don't know what days you're talking about.
Before toilets existed? I didn't say in our time, okay? Thank you very much. Your old days. I'm telling you, you're not taking the exam, that's it. Next it says, sweat equity. Because this is one of the problems. Okay. All right, so here's one of the problems. Sweat equity is that 2 o'clock in the morning, you don't want it, but maybe your property is not profitable enough for you to hire somebody to take care of it, a property manager, or even contract for services. So maybe you have to do the work yourself. Traditionally, what I like to talk about in this example is painting, for instance. Let's say you changed tenants, but before the new tenant walked in, you had to paint the rooms, correct? Now painting, the reason why I say painting is because it's not like a crazy thing to do. Like almost anybody can paint. There's still some people that can screw it up, but almost anybody can paint. Now think about this. A room this big to paint, it's roughly $600, $700, more or less.
For this room?
Or more.
We're talking about professional. We're not talking about us painting. If it could be more, yes. If it's us painting, right, it's very easy. So $100 for a few gallons, right, of paint, $100, and then you get a few friends, and we call it a paint party.
That's true.
That's it. All you have to do is provide barbecue or pizza, and of course, alcohol after, not before, not during. Not during. I've had this experience.
It doesn't.
I paid professionals, and I said, so not even, we're talking about a paint party. I paid professionals to do the work. It was summertime. I'm like,
Guys want a beer?
you guys want a beer? Did they say no? Bring it. So I bring it. Now, just a quick reminder. You know they put something on the floor, so there's no paint falling on the floor, correct?
Yep.
Mhm. So that was before the beer. After the beer, for some reason, that cloth that's supposed to be, the paint cloth supposed to be on the floor, was not there anymore. Don't ask me what happened, but it was not there. It was to the side, to the other side, it was all the way up or all the way down. But all my stairs in the hallway, there's a two-family, all the whole stairs full of paint. Just spots, but all of it. That's why I learned alcohol later. Not that I'm promoting alcohol for the people at home, but I'm just saying if that's what they wanted to drink because it was summertime, it's cool, it's refreshing, it just impairs your judgment. Next, the idea is save money. Because unless you make $600 or $700 a day, and painting only takes 1 day, right? Or if you have to go back next day, let's make it 2 days. Unless you're making $600 or $700 a day, right? Is it worth paying somebody? No, take the day off if you have to. Plus, there's also something called days off already. Saturday, Sunday, maybe. For some people, it could be Sunday and Monday. Whatever your day off is, paint. Save the money. You guys got it? All right. That's called sweat equities, where you do the work yourself. Finally, a high degree of risk is often involved in real estate investment. There's always the possibility that an investor's property will decrease in value during the period it is held, or that it will not generate income sufficient to make it profitable. We got to that. Now, the investment itself. Let's read this real quick. It says, property held for appreciation is generally expected to increase in value and to show a profit when sold at some future date. Income property is property held for producing income as well as profit on its sale. Question. Which one would you prefer?
If you want quick money,
Quick money?
yeah, you can just sell it.
Everybody wants quick money.
Yeah,
That's called
but
ATM.
if you have income property, you can just
Wait, you
use. You still have the money every month in your account,
Mhm.
and it's a long period of time.
Gotcha. Yes.
You mean income property or appreciation?
Which one would you prefer? Income or appreciation?
Income property.
Income property, isn't that appreciation?
Well, it's both.
Yeah.
Simple. You're going to say something? Jessica? No. Never mind. You want to go against the odds? Let's go for appreciation because everybody else is going for income.
No, I was gonna say appreciation doesn't require, for an income property, you wouldn't necessarily be living there.
But you could be living there. We don't have to, but you could. Here's the thing. Anybody has a single family?
Oh yeah, I do.
You have a single family? Great.
Speaking it into existence.
That's it. So you have a single
I
family.
just showed up with the house somewhere, you know.
Okay, so you got a single family. Great. That is a property for appreciation.
No.
Why? Because every month it's expense. What you expect out of the property that you just bought, single family, is that in the future you can sell it for more than what you bought it for. Does that make sense? Future value. Income property is every month. And when you sell it, it sells for more. This is why the wisest initial investment for a person who wishes to buy and personally manage real estate may be the purchase of. This is the reason why when I talk to my clients, they want to buy a single family, I always ask, if you lose your job, who's going to pay for it? That's one of the first questions. And traditionally, that's where they get stuck.
They would have to rob the bank.
You see what I'm saying?
Take the money.
But what I ask them right after is, okay, you want to buy a single family, you're stuck on that, no problem. You don't want to deal with tenants, no problem. Now, if you have a single family, it's expense every month, and you expect the property value to go up. What if it doesn't? Right? We expect that as well, but there's downturns in the market. What if you have an emergency and you have to tap into the equity, or you have to sell the property in order to satisfy whatever emergency it is? Will it have increased that much? See, if you have a single multifamily, you might be able to live in one, rent the other, right? Or others. And that extra rent, if you don't consider it as income, right? That extra rent could be going straight to principal. That means you could pay off your house in a quicker period of time. So I know somebody personally, they paid off their 30-year loan in 5 years. Because they kept on going with their lifestyle the way it was without thinking they had a property. So the fourth family that this guy had, all the income that came from that property was dumped right into the principal. So he barely paid interest. You guys got it?
5 years? Yes.
He paid it off in 5 years.
Wow.
So now this property that brings over $6,000 a month is almost pure profit, because you still have taxes and insurance, but it's almost pure profit. You guys understand?
Mm-hmm.
That's the advantage of having an income property. If it was an appreciation property, it's coming out of your pockets to pay it off sooner. You see the difference? Now, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, which one of these would you prefer?
Income property.
9 out of 10 times. 9 out of 10. They go from single, I didn't think about that. Multi. Okay. If I show you how to invest in these properties, have money coming into your pocket every month, right? And use one property to buy a second, third, or fourth property after that, would that be something of interest, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer? Of course, right? 9 out of 10. I'm telling you. People give me objections, and I take care of it right away, just by talking about these things. The other thing we're going to talk about is cash flow. What do you guys think is cash flow?
Money received after expenses.
Money left over. So the object of income property is to generate spendable income, usually called cash flow. Now, cash flow is the total amount of money remaining after all the expenditures have been paid, including taxes, operating costs, and mortgage payments. But sometimes we don't have positive cash flow. Sometimes we pay after all the payments we're still paying. Meaning the rental that comes in is not enough to satisfy the debt. So you're paying into it. And that is called negative cash flow. Okay? If the cash flow of rents is not enough to cover all expenses, it's a negative cash flow. Was this a good investment?
No.
No.
Didn't make it enough.
Negative. That means you're paying out of your pocket. Why would you get into an investment that you still have to pay every month out of your pocket? Unless the values of property are going up sky high, like it did in the past 2 years, right? Then this is a bad investment. You guys got it? It's all about numbers. And if the numbers don't make sense, don't touch them. That's my opinion. That's what I would advise my clients. But clients are stubborn. They still want to buy houses regardless. So let's do it. And I appreciate the commission after I gave you all these disclosures. You know what I'm saying? But I do disclose as much as I can. You heard me do this with my clients, so you know.
Yes.
All right, cash flow. Here's what I want you guys to write above cash flow. 2 very important things that I recommend in every class. One of them is cash flow gain. Game, G-A-M-E, game. Yes,
Can you have extra, please?
$5.
Uh,
It's in the back.
I don't know what's going on.
If you have a chance, could you give me some water, please, since you're there? Thank you very much.
$5.
You're the best, you're awesome.
$5.
oh,
Right there.
where?
Open the box that has the calculators. All the pens are there. All right, so where were we?
Extra.
Cash flow game. Now this game, and now they're on version 2 of this game. There's also the mobile version of the game. This game is great because it's Monopoly. Has anybody ever played Monopoly?
Yeah.
Okay, imagine Monopoly on steroids. That's what we call it. Monopoly on steroids. It's real life application. What? You right?
Not for steroids. What do you mean?
Because it's a real life application of the Monopoly game. You're buying a 3-family. All of a sudden, you take one of those cards that are in the middle of Monopoly. It says, now you have a baby. You have to pay for this every month.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Now it says you have to pay a ticket because you parked your car wrong. So, hey,
No, that's real life.
it's real life. It's awesome. Love it. In fact, there's not as many as before. But if you go to meetup.com or if you find local community groups, they play this game. We could all get together and play this board game. And you're like, well, but we're adults. Yeah, this is a real life adult thing, even though my son loves to play it.
He's getting ready.
He's getting ready. You guys met my son, so you know. He loves to play it. He gets on my phone and says, Papi, do you have that game still? I'm like, yep, here you go. And for half an hour, or even more, he's just there. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. But he just loves playing. We spent the summer in, we went like 3 or 4 weeks to Africa, and while we were there, guess what he wants to play? This game. So for 3 or 4 weeks that we were there, it's 3.5, I think it was. For all the time that we're there, Papi, we're home. Since we're home, can I play the game? Sure, play the game.
What was the name of the game?
Cash flow game.
Oh, that's the name.
That's the name of the game. And here's the second thing I'm going to tell you. Because Cash Flow Game was created from the same guy that wrote this book that I want you guys to read whenever you have a chance. It's called Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Robert Kiyosaki. He invented the cash flow game, which he learned from his rich dad, not the poor dad. Not that he didn't love his poor dad, it's just that his poor dad knew what was a 9 to 5 and 40 years paying into something that you might not get in the future. Social Security, right? So 40 years to potentially get a retirement. His rich dad said, invest now your time and money so that instead of 40 years waiting, you can start getting the income right away. You guys got it? Cash flow game. Get out of the rat race, because that's what we're taught. We get out of school, debt, student loans. You get into the rat race before you even have a chance to think about it.
Exactly.
You guys got it?
Hard to get out of it, too.
Yep. We're not taught that stuff in the school, right? There's only, I think, 4 states where schools, high school has to teach you financial,
Personal finance.
not,
Financial literacy.
I'm sorry?
Financial literacy.
Yeah, financial
Personal
literacy.
finance.
We'll go with that. Yeah, personal finances, financial literacy. There's only like 4 states that require. Out of 50.
Which one?
Here?
Huh?
New Jersey?
No, not New
Not
Jersey.
New Jersey.
New Jersey teaches you how to get into debt right away.
What do you mean my school didn't have
I
personal
don't know.
finance?
I have to check it out, but there's only 4.
For
4
me
or
to
5.
graduate, I had to do personal finance.
To graduate on what?
High school. If I didn't do the class, they wouldn't let me graduate.
That was probably Carney, right?
Yeah, 2 years ago.
That was probably that. Not all are required to do it.
Well, probably just shut down.
Maybe.
And maybe it's just Cardi.
That's what I'm saying. So maybe it was just Carney. You guys got it?
Yes.
But you can search. You can search during the break which states allow. Jersey's definitely not one of them. So Jersey will get you into debt before you realize what finances are. All right, next. Pyramiding through refinancing. Remember I told you I was going to show or talk about how to use one property, piggyback on that property to buy more? It's called pyramiding through refinancing. So, by holding and refinancing using equity and appreciation buildup, rather than selling or exchanging already owned properties, an investor's holdings can be increased without investment of any additional capital. This practice is known as pyramiding. Now, by reinvesting and doubling his or her holdings periodically, it is conceivable that an investor who started with a small initial cash down payment could own heavily mortgaged properties worth hundreds of thousands or even millions of dollars. With sufficient cash flow to cover all costs, like I said, numbers. If the properties pay themselves off, sufficient cash flow to cover all costs, if the market values hold steadily, right, or increase, the income derived from such assets could pay off the various mortgage loans or debts and show a handsome profit. In the steadily declining markets, you might have, because properties are worth less, you might have to dip into your cash reserves in order to make up for the negative cash flow. All right? So what we're saying here is very simple. What is this?
Pyramid.
That's a pyramid?
Triangle.
Okay, thank you. Pyramid scheme?
Yeah.
Do you have a job? Because I love those. I love people, oh, it's a pyramid scheme. You have a job?
It is square.
Right? CEO, management, supervisors, everybody else. Very hard for you to get on top. Do you have a job? Sounds like a pyramid scheme to me. Anyway. These Wells Fargo people. Anyway. I invest in a lot of, or participate in a lot of MLMs, multi-level marketing. And I love when people call it, that's a pyramid scheme. A pyramid scheme is only if you don't make as much as the guy on top, right? But when you invest into a business that you can make more money than I do, how's that a pyramid scheme? Simple. I've been part of businesses where the person that invited me into the business is no longer there. Let's start with that, right? Or the person that's right above me makes less than I do. So, pyramid scheme. Tell me you're going to make more money than the CEO of Wells Fargo.
Honestly, it's a pyramid scheme. I don't believe it.
Okay. Just saying. You know, I get a little, felt right here, so.
Oh, no, I believe it.
I'm just messing with you. But anyway, pyramid. Actually, it's a triangle, but thank you for the attempt. Because we are talking about pyramids, so that's why it might look like a pyramid. So let me ask you something. We're talking about a property that you bought in 2008. I'm sorry, let's make it 2006, because we're going to look at the turnover, right? You bought this property in 2006, and you bought it for $200,000. Okay? $200,000. Does anybody remember what happened in 2007? Were the prices going up or down? Up, right? So what happened is, a year later, because the prices were going sky high, much like it's happening now, right? You were able to refinance and cash out $100,000. Now, 2008, prices were still rising, much like they are now. You were able to take another $50,000 from the property. Not bad, right? $200,000 investment, you already got $150,000 back. Not bad. And it's not because you're paying it, it's just because increase in value. Until April of 2009, markets, real estate markets, most of them were still rising. But they're already like slowing down. Do you guys remember that? Anybody?
I was fine.
You were not here, so it doesn't matter. But you took another $30,000. And then after that, market dropped. Okay?
Did it drop like, or just slow drop?
So what happened was this. We're in 2009. It stabilized for a couple of months, which is until April. And then it dropped a little bit. And then came 2010, 11, 12, and this was it. Prices just crashed. So it was a small drop right there, and then down the drain.
A roller coaster.
Anyway.
I thought it took like some time, like a couple years.
No, not with this drop. No. Anyway, so at this point, if you guys look at it, we have $380,000 mortgage. Correct? Because you're just taking money out every year. Let's look at this in a. How can I say it? I want you guys to yell out to me the dumbest things you could do with $100,000. Go.
Jet ski.
100,000. I'll even put colorful. Jet ski.
Lambo.
You bought one, okay, for $100,000. It's very expensive.
How about a couple houses?
A Lambo for $100,000 must be used, but okay, we'll take it. Lambo.
Vacation.
Vacation. Dumb things to do. Exactly. What else?
It looks like Disney.
Yeah, I know.
Vacation.
What else? Anything else? All right, so we settled right now. But a year later, you took another 50. Dumb things to do. Come on.
Party.
Party. With $50,000 must be a hell of a party.
On deck.
Party.
In-ground pool in the house.
In-ground pool.
Casino.
NG pool. All right. You bought a casino or
No, we went to play and then.
gambling? Yes.
Here we go.
Gamble. We're balling, right? Because next year, guess what we can do again? Take more. Dumb things to do. Come on. Maybe vacation again?
I know.
This is
About a
never
boat?
going to end. It's never going to dry. So let's go. Vacation
About a
again.
You know what? Let's go to AC or
Buy a
let's
boat
go
for
to
the
Vegas.
pool.
You're right.
Do a pool.
We're
You
named
said-
our pool.
Buy a boat
A
for
boat.
indoor pool.
It's all the both
Yeah.
in their pool. There you go. All right. Dumb stuff to do. Just as this colorful thing that I have here. Dumb. Stupid. Guess where people, it was fun though. Guess what people were doing?
Those things.
Guess what people are doing?
Right now, still?
Because people forget the market trends. You forget there's a cycle. Okay? And here's what happened. In 2009, April of 2009, what happened to the market? Crashed. So now, that's the thing. You find yourself underwater. That's what we call it. You still owe the $380,000, as an example, but your property is now worth $180,000. That means you owe more than what the property is worth. You guys got it? You find yourselves underwater. Now, let's erase a few things here. What if, instead of doing these dumb things, right? What if you had invested in the 3-family? Because this one, by the way, your first investment was a 4-family. What if you had invested in a 3-family right after? What if a year later, 2 families, and then you got your 1 family? What if? No dumb stuff. But wait, it gets better. Let me just, it gets better. What if you did things right, you bought it at the right price, and this property right here pays for itself, and this one? What if this property pays for itself, and this one? What if this property pays for itself, and you live for free? That means,
Don't matter if it's upside down.
if it's upside down, exactly, it really doesn't matter. You know why? because this was 2009, right? Guess where we are in 2020?
It's all over for those.
You guys got it? So whatever was upside down in 2009 is now downside up. It's the right side. So it's worth it again. Now you can sell it. But all these years, you've been collecting rents, rental income. The thing to do is invest in rental income properties. Because if market crashes, a lot of people lost their jobs. But you know what? I got my income. Even if I lose my job, who cares? I got my income. Spouse loses her job or his job, who cares? We got our income. You get divorced, who cares? Still got income. You got married, prenup, still got income. You guys understand what I'm trying to say? Smart investments, please. Just because things are getting better doesn't mean they're going to stay better. It's a cycle. Okay? This right here happens constantly. That means that we might see a, doesn't allow me to put more, okay. So we might see a downturn in the market at this point. It's a cycle. If you guys look historically, almost every 10 years, something happens. Almost every 10 years. It's not as bad as it was right here, right, 2009, but market drops. You guys got it?
Not everybody's buying.
Not everybody's buying. And they're buying at the top dollar. Which is great for you that held your property until 2020.
Yeah. But
Now we sell all of these and we walk away with a nice retirement.
Don't worry about Social Security.
Boom. You guys got it?
Move out of the country.
Oh, yeah.
Here we
Oh.
go.
Listen, you have 2 or 3 properties here that are giving you rental income. Go down to the islands. Live in an island, like $1,500, maybe $2,000 a month, and you're a king or a queen.
Don't sell.
Just hold it.
Property gains are killed.
That's, see,
Capital gains, I should say.
capital gains, we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about capital gains and how to avoid paying those taxes. Legally, lawfully.
Cayman Islands.
Sorry?
Cayman Islands.
Cayman Islands, why not? You need a few more properties, but yes. You can move to the Cayman Islands. All your money is now offshore, not controlled by the United States. You can do whatever you want. You buy a property out there, make it Airbnb, that's it. Done.
People that go there don't use Airbnb.
It's you know what I'm trying to say here.
Yes.
Just be smart about your investments. That's all. All right. So the fun part is over. We now get
Right
into
under.
taxes.
Wow.
That's so messed up.
Would you like to step up?
No, Kevin.
Where's for Wells Fargo? Doing taxes and no evasion.
Would you give us a pointer?
Not you, your ex-CEO and current CEO. Anyway. So tax benefits. It says one of the main reasons real estate investments were popular in the past was that profitable in the past was that federal law allowed investors to use losses generated by the investments to shelter income from other sources. Now, IRS regulations, however, are subject to frequent change. Too much tax shelter can backfire by making the investor subject to AMT, alternative minimum tax. So you know people that make they have cash businesses, what do they try to do? Declare the minimum amount of money possible, correct? There's 2 flaws in this business if you do it that way. One, if you're looking for investments, if you need money, financing for these investments, you're making no money. Your business is losing every year. Why would I invest in you? That's what the banks say. 2, if you keep on losing money, you're allowed to lose 3 out of 5 years. At least 2 years must be profitable. Otherwise, it's a hobby, not a business. If it's a hobby, not a business, How are you still doing this hobby after 5 years? So now, red flag, let's look at your books. You guys understand? So be very careful when you're trying to shelter too much stuff. Everything has a right number. And this is why a CPA is very, very, very important. Don't try to do things yourself. All right? Don't assume that everybody knows the rules. There's a right number for everything. You want to be under the radar? You can deduct stuff that you probably don't know about. You can deduct stuff. Like for instance, right now, you're independent just by taking this class. This is tax deductible. Okay? Cayman Islands, nice vacation, talk business, and it becomes tax deductible. Just be careful, because there's a few things that change when it comes to the vacation tax deductions. I mean, business travel tax deductions, not vacation. You guys got what I'm saying? So there are ways. There's over, like, as independents, there's over 460 deductions you can apply for. 460 deductions you can apply for. That as a salaried employee, you cannot. So great advantage for tax purposes. But too much could actually backfire. Okay? Good so far?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Great. Well, I know you are.
Yeah, I was watching.
Correct me if I'm wrong, okay? She's the only one saying yes because she was watching. You guys were here, but she was watching. And every time I say correct or yes or anything, what are you guys supposed to say?
Yeah.
Even if you don't get it. Next. All right. One way to avoid capital gains. Ready? Let's start with exchange. What is an exchange? Can anybody tell me what is an exchange?
Give one
Don't read. Not real estate. Sorry, Jessica,
Exchange,
go.
exchange is
give one thing to the other.
trade
Give
off.
one thing, take another.
Trade
Trade
off.
off. Trade off what? Something of
Value.
equal
Value.
or similar value. Because if I trade off this remote for your phone, is it worth the same?
Depends on what I'm
If it's an iPhone, it's worth the same. Yes.
playing. Oh, wow.
Yes, I know. iPhone hater. Yes, got it. No problem. You want user-friendly stuff? Yes, iPhone. You want a business phone? Anything but iPhones. That's all I gotta say. Anyway, so where were we?
I'm gonna agree with it.
Exchange.
Exchange. There you go. Exchange. That's where we were. Sorry, let my blood pressure go down. We talked about iPhones. So, exchange is trading off something of a similar value. If it's similar value, right, do we have any profits? No, it's similar value, so no profit. If there's no profit, can we be taxed on what we didn't have profit on? No. So that's what an exchange is. We're trading off something of equal value, and we avoid capital gain tax because we did not have a gain yet. Okay? So real estate investors can defer taxation of capital gains, which is profit on a sale, by like-kind property exchange. Please highlight, underline, put stars. It says, note that the tax is deferred, not eliminated. What does defer mean? Postpone, delay, put it for later. The thing that we always do with everything else? Here is okay. You can procrastinate on this one. Leave it for later. Very important.
But
What?
go,
What was
go, go, finish.
Oh, I'm going. Yeah. All right. Look what it says. If the investor sells a property later, the second property, capital gain is then taxed. Okay? Now, to qualify as a tax-deferred exchange, the properties involved must be of like kind, and that is income or investment property. So you don't qualify for this in the property you live in, your primary residence, you don't qualify here. It has to be an income or investment property, so a second property. You got it? For example, a landlord moving across the country wants to sell her apartment house and buy another that she can manage in a new location. If she has to pay capital gain tax on the sale of the present building, she won't have enough money left to reinvest in a similar property. So what we're saying is, I'm selling this property, I'm moving to LA, and I need to buy another property when I get there. If I pay capital gains on the sale of that one, then I won't have enough money to put into this property. Does that make sense? Okay. So, by using a tax-deferred exchange, however, she can in effect swap the two properties with no immediate tax consequences. That means I have to agree with somebody in LA that they're moving to Jersey, right? Anywhere in Jersey, and we're now in California. First, try to get somebody to do that.
Yeah.
Hey, would you like to give up Cali and come to Jersey? No, very difficult. See, gain on the first sale is not tax exempt, but tax can be postponed. Look at the key word. Postponed indefinitely. What does indefinitely mean?
Indefinitely.
That's it. It could be forever. You guys got it?
And
There's no end.
if you die,
Well, we'll talk about that in a second.
okay. And
But indefinitely. Capital gains he was talking about. Just do this. Then it's added to the gain on the second property when it's sold sometime in the future.
does it need to be same price? Can you just make like a little bit? Okay.
You even got Katie nervous over there. All right. It is not always necessary for the two sellers to make a direct exchange of properties. Please underline. It says a section 1031 exchange allows an investor to sell one investment and buy another outright with no necessity to find an owner who wants to swap. So Internal Revenue Code section 1031, so the IRS regulations state, you know what? You don't need to find somebody in California who wants to move to Jersey. All you have to do is find another property and just roll over the profits. That's all it is. As long as you don't touch the money, it's not a capital gain. So all you have to do is roll over to the next property. The money involved is held by a third party until the two transactions are completed. And the investor must identify the intended purchase within 45 days of selling the first parcel and complete the purchase within 180 days. So here's what's happening, guys. I'm selling this property right here. Sold it today, closed. Congratulations. Within 45 days of this sale, 45 days, I must identify the next purchase. Within 180 days, so 6 months of this sale, I must complete the purchase. So the total amount of time we have is 6 months to roll over the money. You got it? First 45 to say, hey, this is the one I want. A total of 6 months to close. It's not 45 plus 180. It's a total of 180. Good?
Yes.
Do you want an actual piece of paper? Or?
No.
Taking notes on the napkin. It's not a napkin presentation. We're not trying to sell business to someone. Anyway, so a total of 180 days. All we did was roll over the money. Now, you're going to find in this book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, another thing that his teachings talk about. It's very simple. Defer, 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 die. Did you guys get it? Simple. Don't pay taxes, don't pay taxes, don't pay taxes, die, so don't pay taxes. Simple as that. Now, your kids might have to handle inheritance taxes and have to handle the payment of that mortgage and whatever, capital gains and all that stuff. They might have to deal with that towards the estate. Might. But at that point, if you're smart about it, you also got life insurance to cover all those expenses. You see what I'm saying? So don't pay, don't pay, don't pay legally, because Internal Revenue Code section 1031 allows you to do this. Just keep on rolling the money. Die, your life insurance activates, pays off any inheritance tax you might have to pay. So did you pay? You like that one, huh? Now we can take the 100,000 out of your account. Now we're good. Yes.
So after you did a 1031 exchange on a property, can you take money out? Or can you do,
Why would you?
I mean, if you needed cash?
If you need cash, there's something called HELOCs.
Yeah, I mean, so could you do a HELOC? I mean, is
Is
it
that,
against the
is
rules?
that taking money out?
No, HELOC's not.
Of course not. What about hell?
Hell is taking money.
No, it's not, because it's still a responsibility to pay back. There's still a lien. It's not, hell is not profit. That's the thing.
I thought hell you can take cash out.
You can, but it's not profit.
So,
It's a loan. Just like the life insurance that I like to talk about, the money you take out of life insurance is a loan. You have to pay it back. The thing is, the life insurance I like to talk about, you pay back at 0%. So, a loan on your property also offsets any gains that you might have. You guys got it?
Yes.
Defer, 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 die. Never touch the money. Here's a good thing. If the property increases in value and you sell now, you can buy a better home than what you had, right? That's how you increase your value, because now your rental income is also better than the one you had. Do you need to touch the bulk of the money? No. You just need to improve your salary. That's all it is. Think of it that way. You guys good? All right. But this is not an investment class. This is a make sure you learn how to become a salesperson and train other people on it class.
disclaimer? That's your disclaimer?
I'm sorry?
Is that your disclaimer?
That's my disclaimer. Tiffany, you're going to say something?
This is like the prequel or
The prequel?
the commercial.
The prequel. There you go. Yeah, it's a trailer about what's
The
to come.
trailer was the time, yeah. If you're interested in learning more.
Well, I didn't want to say that, but there is a course coming up.
There you go.
Just kidding.
They already have a, what are you talking about?
Now,
What'd you say, April, right?
when a property is being bought, yeah, coming up soon. When a property is being bought, but listen, in all truthfulness, the course is not for me to talk about investments, but I cannot teach this course without talking about it. Because even if it's not for you, your clients are investing in something. So you need to educate your clients. Does that make sense?
Listen, we want all the information you're gonna give us. Don't
I'm trying.
apologize.
Okay. I'm apologizing to the Real
Let
Estate
us
Commission if
know.
they're listening.
Oh, okay. Oh, good.
Disclosure, disclosure, disclosure.
Got it, okay.
Simple. All right. When a property being bought, that means the replacement property, costs less, so or you're kind of what you were talking about, costs less than the one being sold, then the difference in price is known as booked. What is booked? Okay? It means that the leftover cash may be immediately taxable as part of the investor's capital gain on the first property. Tax on the rest of the gain, however, can be postponed by an adjustment to the cost basis of the new property. So for instance, I sell this property right here, and I was bound to make a $100,000 profit. To buy this property, I rolled over only $50,000.
And you're single, and then you have the $50,000.
Excuse me?
Can you do that? And then not pay the
This is investment. That's how I started earlier. It's investment properties. It's not primary residence.
even though you
If it was primary residence, you're exempt of tax capital gains up to $250. So that's a whole separate thing altogether. Just move into your property, live there for 2 years, and you never have to pay taxes at all. It's fully exempt. You don't have to play with this defer. But when you have 10 properties that you're handling, can you live in all of them?
Deferring then?
No.
So why are we deferring then?
Do you want to pay capital gains?
No. But why are we just keep selling and selling and
So you don't pay capital gains?
the capital gains isn't the money that you're taking?
Profit?
Yeah, isn't the profit?
Yeah. Why would you take the profit and have to pay capital gains? Just get a better property and keep rolling. You could start with a $200,000 property and wind up with $1 million property just by rolling.
But
You can
then
now have
what
a.
money are you making?
I'm sorry?
What money are you making?
Rental income. That's why appreciation properties are not the best.
And how long do you need to keep the property?
We're gonna talk about that, but you can keep for as long as you want. The difference is how much capital gains you have to pay.
You got me confused.
Usually, that's why I go in order and I'm getting there.
Mm,
So, boot.
you got me confused before. So
Your
if I-
answer is coming up. That's what I said. Boot. All we're saying is that if you touch part of your money, of that gain, if you touch part of it, you rolled only 50,000, then you have 50,000 in your pocket, correct? Yes?
Yes.
If you have 50,000 in your pocket, that means you gained money. It went to your pocket, you cashed out. The moment you cash out, you pay capital gains on that money. The other 50 rolls over to the new property. The 50 that came to your pocket, it's taxable immediately. That means this year, you're gonna pay. Good so far? All right. Capital gains. What is capital gains? It's a taxable profit on the investments. In real estate, it is the difference between the adjusted basis of the property and its net selling price. I'm going to go over all this in a second, so just bear with me. At various times, tax law has excluded a portion of capital gains from income tax. In order to qualify for favorable long-term capital gain tax treatment, the asset must have been owned for the required length of time, referred to as the holding period. In 2017 and until today, the holding period for long-term capital gain treatment was more than 1 year. So as long as you hold the property for more than 1 year, the maximum that they'll charge you is 15% capital gains. Anything less than 1 year, just like depreciation, is taxed at 25%. So my question is, if you sold your property now and you made a $100,000 profit, long-term capital gain will be $15,000. Short-term capital gain will be $25,000. Which one would you prefer to pay? Sorry? That's it? Is anybody going to say nothing?
I don't know.
Defer it.
Defer.
Defer. Why would you pay $15,000 or $25,000? Just roll the money into another property and don't pay the IRS at all, legally and lawfully. You guys got it? Yes.
So even if you're not there for a year, you can still defer.
Sorry?
Even if you're not there for a year.
What do you mean not there? This is an investment property. Do you have to be there?
No.
Actually, you're not supposed to be there. It's an investment property. If you're talking about the tax exemptions for primary residence, that was Chapter 8. You have an exclusion up to $250,000 if you're an individual, or up to $500,000 if you're a couple. But that's for primary residence. We're talking about investment properties. Investment properties, you always have to pay capital gains unless you defer. That's why we roll the money into another property. Anybody ever had AT&T or Singular back in the day? You guys remember that, Singular?
Wow, I haven't heard. Yeah.
Right? Yeah, I bring back good memories all the time. Singular. What was the cool thing about Singular when they came out? Great idea, by the way.
Was it Singular?
I don't know.
That was one
Yeah.
of those?
No, that was Nextel. The walkie-talkie. What'd you say?
I don't know. I wasn't here.
You could roll over your minutes. Back when limits were your minutes were limited.
Right, like 300. Like who had 300? Who had minutes even?
Listen,
Yeah, we used to only get like 300 minutes. We had and free nights and weekends because if you stay sober, girl.
No, I remember that. I remember it.
not your turn? I almost spit the whole thing. You almost had coffee all over you because of that one.
She was like,
Right?
Wow.
So I told her the truth.
It is
Free
true.
nights and weekends after a certain time.
And these kids complain today, huh?
Yeah. I'm not gonna limit everything. Shit.
I remember paying for calls coming in. It was calls in Portugal. It was calls going out and calls coming in. You pay for everything. Text messages was the way to go, but careful.
But that's what all those symbols, yeah.
Yeah, and no data because back then it wasn't smartphone. right? No data whatsoever.
Times have changed.
Times have changed,
Times
right?
have changed.
And to think that iPhone has only been around for like 13 years,
Shoot. Keepers.
right?
Yeah, you guys have no idea.
Beepers, yeah.
Beepers?
Mhm. I remember those.
How about the
They
phone
remember.
cord?
No?
You had a really long phone cord, so you can walk around the house with
Oh, yeah, not cordless. Yeah.
cordless phones.
And you put it in the strategic area in the,
Yeah,
in the house, so you can sit on the couch and
Cord
talk
under
because it's like
the door.
all the way in there.
No, get the long cord.
Anyway,
Mm.
good old
He's
days.
looking lost. She's like, I don't know.
Good old days.
You don't know how good you have.
I only had the phones that you can just like, and then
Same
you
thing
can
then.
go,
So
and
you
then
know, so then that's the same thing.
and
You
then
know, like, yeah.
you have to
Anyway,
dial the number like, and then let it go,
Rotary.
and then let it
Those
go.
were
Rotary phone.
but those were cool.
Yeah, that one was like,
I used to have fun with it. Zing, zing,
Now we're trying to hurry up and make a call.
until
You call some
An
house.
emergency.
no, my parents got the bills. I was young. It was fun. Hello? Somebody out in China answered the phone. We're like 10 minutes on the phone trying to figure out what we're talking about.
Wow.
Anyway,
really? Are you kidding? I was like, really?
but this
I don't know.
happens. But this happened. When I said China, it wasn't that bad. I actually called it just a different town. But
And it was-
there's people that made calls to,
Yeah, different towns, you had to pay for it.
yeah.
Like
Even
from
your home
Newark-
phone did not have
like from
unlimited
Newark to
minutes.
Kearney, you have to pay. Oh,
Anyways,
thank God.
complain about your bills.
I'm
Anyways.
gonna complain about my
So, back to this. Which one would you prefer?
None.
None.
Defer.
Thank you. But if it's short term, 25% of your capital gains. If it's long term, 15% capital gains. All right? So we got to figure out how we calculate capital gains. And now you're thinking, well, but I'm not going to be a CPA. I don't care about accounting. Yeah, but if you're the investor, if it's your property, you need to estimate how much you're going to pay. If you have to pay. So let's figure this out. Basis. Right above basis, I want you to write cost. Because every time you see the word basis, this applies to any type of investment. What is the basis? It's the cost. It's the money you put into the property. So, the property's cost basis determines the amount of gain to be taxed. The basis of the property is the investor's initial cost for the real estate. In green it says, the investor adds to the basis the cost of any capital or physical improvements subsequently made on the property. Keep highlighting, put stars. We now subtract from the basis the amount of depreciation claimed. We're going to talk about all this in a second. Depreciation claimed as tax deduction to derive at the property's adjusted basis. So basis is what you put in, but if you claim depreciation, we're going to talk about in a second, is a benefit. So you put in money, you claim the benefit, so it's less amount. That becomes your adjusted basis. Make sure you underline adjusted basis. So when the property is sold by the investor, the amount by which the sales price exceeds the property's adjusted basis is the capital gain taxable as income. Here's an example. It says, many years ago, an investor purchased a one-family dwelling for use as a rental property. It's a single family, but it's being used as rental property. So do I live there? No, it's a rental income property. Many years ago. Just by saying this, is it long-term or short-term?
Wow.
So if the question is about taxes, how much do you have to pay in capital gains? Immediately think of 15%. This is how I break down the questions. I hope you guys pick it up. Next, it says the purchase was for $45,000. I bought that house for $45,000. I'm selling it now for $100,000. What is the capital gain? If I say nothing else, if this is the question by itself, how much was the capital gain or the profit on the sale? $55,000. So if it's long term, I pay 15% of 55,000. And that will be the end of the question. You guys got it?
Mhm.
But this one has a little bit more. It says, shortly before the sale, the investor made $3,000 worth of capital improvements to the home. Also, over the years, this investor claims $10,000 worth of depreciation. The investor is paying the broker 7% commission of the sales price and closing costs of $600. Not in Jersey, but it could happen. $600 worth of closing costs. And the investor's capital gain is computed as follows. Ready?
Yes.
I want you guys to highlight this example exactly as it is here. Selling price, first thing I want you to do is right here, you're going to write gross. Because it's the gross selling price. Is that what we take home?
No.
No, just like your paycheck is the amount you wish you had, but then you have deductions. In this case, the deductions are 7% commission plus closing costs.
Plus.
That's it. All right, so here's the thing. Do you see the, before I read anything else, do you see the order of things? Who gets paid first? Always. Remember this, we're the first ones to get paid, because there's going to be a question later on in the math chapter where you need to remember this. Realtors, we get paid off the top. We're the first ones to get paid. Then comes attorneys, recording fees, mortgage company, everybody else is after we get paid. We are the kings and queens of these transactions. Us first, everybody else later.
Us is really the broker, then us.
Well, but still, your cut is guaranteed right there. It's us. Your cut is guaranteed. But yes, it's the broker. You're right. First. And then it's whatever, this split is whatever you agree to with your broker. But again, our check is almost guaranteed because everybody else gets paid after. You guys got it?
Yeah.
Great. So how much did the seller get from this property? 92,400. That's how much they got after paying everything. Is that their profit? No. That's what they got from the sale. Now, when it comes to taxes, we got to figure out how much was the basis, which is the original cost, $45,000. Then they improved the property another $3,000. So how much money did they put in?
So 48.
$48,000. But if you guys read the question correctly, they claimed $10,000 worth of depreciation. And depreciation is a benefit. So how much money did I really put in? 38,000. Physical money, 48,000. Benefits over the years in taxes, right? 10,000. So how much money I put in? 38,000. So now the math is 92,400 minus 38,000. That's the real math. How much money did I make? 54,400. This is the total capital gain.
So the depreciation is a benefit just to lower the capital.
We're going to talk about depreciation in a second. Actually, it's the very next section. But it's a benefit. That's what you need to know for now. So because you claim the benefit, it's deducted from your basis. What?
I don't know. I'm confused.
What part do you know? Where are you confused? If it's depreciation, we're going to talk about it in a second.
Mm-mm.
So what is it?
Where are you making the money?
Excuse me?
Where are you making the money?
Where am I making the money?
Yeah.
I made $54,000 in profit. If I sold for
What do you
$100,000,
do with the $54,000?
what do I do with $54,000?
Okay, hold on.
Cayman Islands.
Hold on. You confuse me. Somewhere. Or I'm just thinking too much about
I
it.
think she's thinking that he's only getting 54, but that's just a profit.
No, that's not my question. If you're selling that, if you're rolling over, let's say $200,000 to
Who's rolling over?
me, probably.
That's not the question here.
I know it's not the question, but you still didn't answer my question from the previous question.
The previous.
Yeah, no. Stop.
I'm going to get there. Can you give me a second? Hold on to that thought. Okay? In this one, you made $54,000. Let's figure out how much you have to pay in taxes, and then I'll talk about that.
Because you have to pay the taxes on the 54, not
On the 54,000, not the 92, not the 100,000. You pay taxes on your profit. How much was your profit? 54,000. Did we get there?
I don't even know what you're doing anymore. Okay, finish and then if anything.
No. You
I got this part. It's just there's something not making sense for me. But you just go. Just
Okay,
go,
let me
just
ask you
go.
something.
No, go.
Can I?
Alright.
We sold for 100,000.
Uh-huh.
Minus commission, minus costs. How much net money did I make?
52. That's 54. That should be 54 400.
How much net money did
Oh,
I make from
net.
the sale? 92,400.
Okay.
Did you get it? Why?
Yeah, because you had the minus the commission and minus the closing costs.
Okay. Is that the money that we profit?
No.
No, because we have to deduct the original cost. Because I put money into something that's not the return that I get. I need to pay that part off, and whatever's left over is the return that I get on the property. Does that make sense? That's the profit. What was the profit in this case? 54,400.
Mm.
Good so far? Yes? No?
Yeah.
Yes? No?
Go. Yeah, go.
You can say no at this point. Malik, yes?
I have one question. Maybe she's thinking about that one. So, if I
Maybe.
invest, if I invest $1, okay, just put in a simple way.
Mhm.
If I invest $1, after 1 year, it becomes $2. Okay.
That's a great investment.
Okay, so after
Tell me where.
after 2
Sorry.
years, after 2 years, it becomes $3, and it's like $4 or $5.
Mhm.
But I invested like 3-4 years, it becomes a $5. But it's still not in my hand. I invested, okay, 5 years.
Yeah, the money's there, stuck.
Money is there. But still I'm at that same position. Maybe in the reality, yes, I have something $5 in my hand, but still I don't have it. I don't have cash.
Okay,
So I don't have something.
but now you sell the property.
Yes.
If I sell it, but still I'm in the same position.
No, because when you sell the property, you paid off everybody, and some money is left over in your pocket.
Yeah, after taxes and all.
The thing is that at the end of the year, you have to, at the end of the year, you have to pay taxes. Those taxes are called capital gains
But it's gonna be same after 5 years, not after 1 year.
at any time.
So you don't
Whether
make.
it's 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, as long as there's any profit, you pay taxes on it. So if you said you put $1, you make 2, then your profit is $1.
In 1 year, yeah.
So you pay, short period, you pay 25% of that dollar. So a quarter goes towards taxes. You keep in your pocket 75 cents. That's your profit. That's your real profit. You guys got it? No?
I don't know. Just keep going, then we see.
No. There's no keep going. All right.
You still did not. That's not my.
You're
question.
thinking about the rolling over. We're not in the rolling over.
I know it's not the rolling over, but if you're, so you're, just let me try to figure out what is even my question because I'm confused. It's something that I don't know what I'm trying to say.
Go.
All right. If you have $100,000, you're not gonna get that money because you still have a bunch of things to, pay it off. So that's why you're telling me to just keep rolling the money to other properties, and then whatever. Hold on, and whatever you make, whatever it's left, that's your profit, or you don't get that profit because I'm still confused. If you're gonna make the profit, because you still gonna pay capital gains,
Okay.
or you're gonna pay taxes or whatever.
Okay. $100,000.
Mhm.
That's what we just went over. $100,000 is what you sold for. Okay? Is that what goes to your pocket?
Mhm.
No. So we have to deduct expenses. In this case, the expenses are closing costs and the commission, which is $7,600.
Mhm.
So how much money you put in your pocket?
92 400.
400. This is the net sales price. Good so far?
Yeah.
Okay, that's after paying expenses, how much you took home. You guys know, even with your paycheck, at the end of the year, what must you do? Pay taxes. How do we determine what are the taxes? It's from whatever deductions you guys made. Yes? So you tell the IRS and the state how much money you made. Then it's taken out of your paycheck every month or every paycheck. Good so far?
Yes.
Malik? Good? All right. So that's the thing. At the end of the year, you still have to either pay or you're going to receive money back. It all depends on how much you contributed. In this case, we had profit, but we might have had a loss. If we had a loss, we might get money back, a credit or something, into your taxes. In this case, we had profit. Why? Because we took the $45,000 that we put in, that was the cost. We took the $3,000 of improvements, right? Another cost, right? And we added the $10,000 depreciation, which we're going to talk about in a little bit. How much money was really left that we took home?
54,400.
This is profit. This is what you get taxed on. This is the amount you need to get to. You sold, so you put $1 in, it's worth $2, you sold for $2. How much money did you make? $1. That's the profit. That's what you get taxed on so far.
That's if you sell the house.
Hold on. I'm getting there.
No, that's
Step
if
by
you
step.
sell, right?
Step by step. At all instances, you're selling. The difference is what you're doing with the money. Are you putting this money in your pocket? If so, then you're going to pay taxes on it now. Right? If you roll the money into another property,
Oh, that's the money we roll over. I thought you were rolling over the $100,000.
how can you roll the $100,000?
Because that's just.
But that's what I was trying to get at. Because now I was going to explain that. You pay taxes. In order to avoid these taxes, what do? You roll that money into another property.
So the profit you roll over, not the money.
The capital gains, the profit, yes.
Do you add
Got it.
depreciation or you subtract depreciation?
You subtract the cost and you add depreciation.
What's the purpose
So
of
you
the
add it to your profit.
To your all right, hold on.
Because in the book it's subtracted.
I know, because here it says, so I did it a little different, right? You minus, 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 right? So I was doing the calculation a little bit different. At the end of the day, it's still the 38,000. Yes.
So, because I'm confused with the depreciation. So, wouldn't it be better to not depreciate it?
Let me get into depreciation in a second. Right now, just understand what we've done and stay there, because I'm building blocks here. All right? We are getting to the final stages of these blocks, and everything's going to be clear. Like right now, profit. Did you get where the money we either keep or roll over?
Yeah, go back to
Okay, do you have a question?
I see the loans.
Or you're looking at you? Gotcha. All right.
Go back.
We'll talk about that. Sorry.
Well, how are you gonna invest that $54,000?
How?
Yeah. What house are you gonna buy with $54,000?
down payment?
This could be a down payment to another property.
It doesn't have to be here either in the state.
Didn't you have $20,000
Okay.
before?
Hold up.
Into 100,000, you put 20 before, didn't we?
That does not make any sense. Really, it doesn't, because why are you gonna put that money in another house, down payment? Then that house, you're probably gonna sell it again, and then you're gonna do the same thing, and you're gonna have just a little bit extra than what you have right now. Then you're gonna keep doing this until you have
Then-
$100,000.
And here's the thing, then you never pay capital gains.
And where's the money you're getting out of this profit?
Every month, the rental income.
Yeah, that's the difference.
So why do you keep selling? Because every time you're gonna keep buying the house,
To get a bigger profit.
you're still gonna have.
To get a bigger
rental
property.
income.
You start off with a $100,000 property, $100,000 property, and this was a two-family. Okay? This two-family increased in value, it's now worth $300. What can you do with something that's worth 300? It's not your profit, I got it. But now because of your investment of 20,000, let's say, that was your investment here, right?
Mm-hmm.
Your profit on this one, let's say, it was 70,000. 70,000, can that get you into a better property?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna dump this into a 3-family. Roll it. So instead of having 2 incomes, now you got 3 incomes. This 3-family appreciated in value, it's now worth 500,000. Your profit, let's say, was 120 on the sale. Can you, with $120,000 down payments, buy a better house?
Yeah.
All right, so let's roll this money into a 4-family.
Can we do 2 families then? Oh,
No,
No.
1 for 1.
no, can we do 2 properties?
1 for 1. All right? Think about 1 for 1 right now.
Okay.
But you see how you started off with a $20,000? Now you have 120 to roll into another property?
Mm-hmm.
That's why we keep on rolling into better properties. See here I was only making $3,000, right? Here I'm making $5,000. Here I'm making $10,000, whatever it is.
Okay.
This, what's in green right here, this is what I want, is that every month. I don't care about the profit. I'm getting to bigger and better homes every time. If I can in 10 years, I can roll the profit of this one into 100 unit apartment building. You see what I'm saying? You keep on rolling, getting something better and better and better over time.
And you just started with the 20,000.
And you only started with a 20,000.
So how does it, I know it's not related, but
Possibly.
yeah.
Go.
Buy, fix, and flip. You roll driver,
Same concept.
but you said if you're
You don't have to cash out. Just roll into the next.
6 months. You have 6 months to do whatever you want. Put that
Now
money
you're
in.
confusing things.
Oh, yeah, because that was something, that was.
Because if you're buying, fix, and flip, you're still gonna make the money
It's from the sale.
from
From the
sale.
sale time is when you have 6 months to get into another property. It's
And-
not the rehab time, it's the sale time to a purchase time. If it takes you 5 years to rehab, right? I know, it's a huge property. So if it takes you 5 years to rehab, maybe because you're doing things yourself, like your uncle.
That's 20 years.
That's a great example.
You
It's
don't
been
know.
forever. Anyway,
Yeah.
so 5 years, right? It's not from the time you purchase the house, it's from the time you sell the house. You have 6 months to identify another property. If you don't sell it, do you have to roll it into another one? No. Let's say your uncle decides to sell the house today. It's been working on it for forever. Probably even before you were born. But the point is,
Should have got here, but okay.
the point is, when he sells is when that 6 month mark starts, where he has to look at another property to buy, fix, and flip.
That's what I'm saying. That was what I just said. After you sell, you have that period of 6 months to
Get into another one.
get into another one, buy another one.
But not the fixing part, it's the buying part.
Yeah, it's the buying part. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, you can roll into the other one. Just keep on rolling.
The
But
money
it's
is
1
yours.
for 1. You can't roll whatever you make into two separate properties.
Correct. Got it?
Yeah.
Good?
Great.
Great.
Now
What now? I prefer that you guys are clear on all this stuff before I move forward, because taxes is the most complicated part.
But the buy, fix, and flip, you're not gonna make the money there because you're not renting.
Okay.
Oh, so you can buy, fix, and flip, and then buy a property, try to see if they can.
Okay, let me teach you something about the buy, fix, and flip. It's not always about the profit. It's about being able to reach a point where you have enough cash
Okay,
to get
never
into a
mind.
property like this big. Again, if you guys think of buy, fix, and flip properly, don't do. You know what the biggest mistake is for realtors? So completely getting back to realtors versus investment.
Mhm.
The biggest mistake realtors made until 2008 was they're making a lot of money every check, every paycheck. We're closing, we're making. Some people making $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 a month when the market was hot. Guess how much they got now?
Negative.
0. Because the market was hot, everybody was balling, doing the stupid things that I told you.
In the boat and then.
Getting the boat, vacation,
and doing-
a lot of other things I'm not going to talk about right now. Waste of money. Where's that money now? A buy, fix, and flip is not the free ride to do all this dumb stuff. It's the free ride for you to prepare yourself for retirement, for this ultimate goal. The reason why you buy, fix, and flip, or why you invest in real estate is prepare yourself for your retirement. Because this, forget Social Security. Donate your Social Security check. Give it to somebody else that needs it. If you're making profit just $500 out of this, how much is that a month?
Each unit.
$500 each unit. You know what I'm saying? That's the ultimate goal. I have a friend of mine in New York. He's investing in 100-unit apartment buildings out in Ohio.
Yeah, Ohio, they have a lot of.
He only gets $750 in rentals. Only.
Yeah. But you can buy something for $40,000.
Well, I don't know.
Yeah,
They're doing
no,
it.
like my friend, their grandma lives up there.
I don't know, but I'm just saying.
Telling you.
It's.
Well, it depends on what part of Ohio.
But if you're making $100 profit on,
You're making a profit.
you're making $10,000 clean every month.
Don't you have to?
I always say if you make more than $20,000 a month, it's way too much than anybody needs. 20,000 is the mark. Above that, that's when you start giving money away. That's when you go into donations and do tax deductions and all that stuff. $20,000 more. That's more than you need. So those people that make more than that, and out there with big yachts and whatever, nothing wrong with that. You want to do that? Sure. There's a lot of people that need.
This is true.
They're on the streets. What kind of animal? I mean, what kind of person are you?
You remember what you said.
Sorry. What kind of person are you? You see what I'm saying? $20,000. If you do it right, I'm set for life. Let me focus now on helping the people that actually need, that don't have the tools. Some people don't even have the $300 you guys had to be here.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? That's my whole point about investments. Get to that point. Be set. Work the rest of it towards helping others. Yes.
Just a quick question on the 1031 exchange. You can't buy, when people buy and flip, they can't do the 1031 exchange, right?
Why?
Or they can't?
You're bound to pay 25% because it's short term. You're bound to pay 25% on profit. The question is, how are you set up? That's why the CPA is so important. CPA is very important, what you do with your money.
You guys CPA said I have a house.
A sale is a sale. An investment property is an investment property. How you classifying your investments make a huge difference as well. So talk to your CPA. That's the best thing I can tell you right now. Okay?
Best friend forever.
It's your best friend. Your CPA is your
Forever.
best friend.
Yep. Do you usually have in houses CPAs?
In-house CPAs, but I do have a few people that work with me. They're not in-house. They're not here.
Yeah, in house.
They're not here.
Okay, but do
I kept them outside.
I understand you kept out that something. Whatever I said. Usually, can you keep in house or like for everybody or no?
What do you mean?
Have their own office.
So it's available for everyone.
The whole house, meaning they work here. They do
No.
the job.
Understand what in-house means. It means that we have a few people that we recommend to work with us. It's not to have people sitting right there waiting for you. No.
Oh, okay.
So I'll give out the business card.
Mhm.
These are the people that we recommend within our agency that work with us. But no, they have their own business. They're not here. In-house, that's what it means.
I know, that's what I'm saying.
Okay? If you want to talk about salaried employees, no, we don't have a salaried accountant here. No. You guys got it?
Yep.
Cool.
My question is, No, I'm kidding. He can go. I got everything.
All right.
He's gonna throw me
So
out
glad
the
that the
window.
next chapter is very short. All right. Kevin is taking notes. Talk to CPA about fix and flip rollovers.
We're doing 2 chapters now?
But the other one's very short. You're gonna talk to your CPA? You want a CPA to talk to?
I have my aunt, it's just that she's starting off small.
Uh-oh.
Like,
Does
she's
your aunt know real estate?
That's the thing, no.
You need a CPA that's specialized in.
Bring her here to
But I
the
want
class.
to, like, I know, she wants to learn, like, cause like, she started like 2 years ago doing general. And
So
now
you're
she's
taking
doing-
this so you can teach your aunt?
No,
I'm just saying, because she can pay for the course. I'm just saying.
But, you
It's a
know,
joke.
I was gonna go with it, but, you know.
Yeah. Anyway, but it's very important they have, just like, listen, guys, CPAs, just like attorneys, just like surgeons, any doctor should be specialized in something. There's a general doctor, the family doctor, that knows nothing, right? Knows everything but knows nothing. What I meant is, you know what I'm trying to
No,
say.
he doesn't specialize.
It doesn't specialize in anything. So he knows everything but knows nothing. Then you have a problem with your heart, you're going to go to somebody that specializes in hearts. You have a problem with your brain, can't help you. My point is, would you go to surgery, Kevin? Would you go to a heart surgery with a brain surgeon? Right?
Just
It's
embrace
a
the
no-brainer. Definitely not. Would you go to real estate transaction with an attorney that does litigation? With a family attorney? With a general practice attorney? No. If you're going to real estate, get a real estate attorney. If you're looking for a CPA for real estate investments, then get a CPA that does real estate, that's focused on that. If you have a variety of investments, now it's a different story. Let's start working with other people. But go with the one that goes for your where you're specializing in. Makes a huge difference. I can guarantee you that. Good? Imagine having an instructor that doesn't know anything about real estate teaching you this.
Just read it from the book.
There's plenty of those out there.
Ooh, ooh, ooh.
You know that, right? Plenty of those. You don't have to leave. I was joking, man. You can use your aunt. No problem. But have your aunt take a course if she's doing accounting.
She's an accountant already.
Okay.
Like, again,
But if she's
not-
doing accounting, have her specialize in something that's related to real estate. Huge difference, I'm telling you. There's a lot of deductions. We're going to talk about that in the next page or so. There's a lot of deductions that you can apply for depending on where your investment is and what type of property it is. This is just like the tip of the iceberg. And I cannot tell you everything in this book either. There's way more than that. Okay? Now, what is depreciation? Depreciation is an accounting concept that allows an investor to recover the cost of income-producing asset by way of tax deductions over the period of the asset's useful life. So as I told you, it's a benefit, right? Look what it says. Only the costs of improvements to the land may be recovered, not the cost for the land itself. What is an improvement?
Renovating a bathroom.
I'm sorry?
Renovating a bathroom.
It increases value.
It increases value of what?
Property.
Of the property. But renovating a bathroom is not, in this case. Was anybody here for chapter 5? Because we always keep going back to chapter 5 for a reason. Chapter 5 says, Kevin, what is real estate? That's how the chapter starts. And real estate is divided by land by itself and real estate. Land, or raw land, is as nature intended, given to you bare, just like when you're born. Bah. And then what do? We add clothes. Right? We start off with diapers. That's an improvement. So in real estate, an improvement is anything that's added to the property. Renovating a bathroom is an improvement to what already exists. You got it? But it's not an improvement to the land itself. An improvement to land is anything and everything that's added. See, a bathroom's already there.
So even if it was an old one and you made, like, you know, wouldn't count, right?
Or if you added an additional bathroom.
So, okay. It does count. What I'm trying to ask is what's the definition of improvement? Just the bathroom is not an improvement. The whole thing being added to the land is an improvement. If you add an additional bathroom, it's an improvement. You renovate your bathroom, okay, you improve the looks of it, and you might be able to deduct that investment. Might. You got it? But improvement is the pipes that run to the land, is the paving of the land, is the garage you put in the land, it's the house itself that you put on the land, the pool, the in-ground pool, right? Does that make sense? That is improvement to the land. The land itself, you cannot depreciate. Because land is finite in its supply, it's durable, it cannot be relocated, so it doesn't change value. Remember this from chapter 16? It doesn't change value. Land is land. It does increase in value, but it doesn't change its value. It's the way it is. What the improvements are is what changes the real value of the land. That's why it's calculated separately. So anything you improve, so if you remodel the bathroom, you put money into it, you could get tax deductions. On residential property, the cost of building is divided by 27.5 years. So whatever improvements you make on the land, you can divide that cost for 27.5 years. That means every year, you can take a certain amount as depreciation. So to make it simple, if it costs you $275,000 to improve, how much can you deduct for depreciation every year? $10,000 every year. 275 divided by 27.5 years is $10,000 every year. That's the cost of the building. If you make a new improvement, Kevin, that bathroom costs you $10,000. Well, divided by 27.5 years. That's how much you can depreciate every year, or deduct for depreciation. And what is depreciation? Well, it's recovering the fact that this will lose value over time and it must be replaced. They understand, and that's why they allow you, since you're going to have the expense at one point or another, they allow you to recover that cost over several years. Good so far? What, Yasmin? I mean, Travis.
So the depreciation, 27.4, is that, so say if I own the property and I sold it to you, if I claim the depreciation for over the period of time I own the property, how, does it roll over? Does it start over?
There's no rollover here. But here's the thing. If the question was, because I'm not a CPA, for a state exam, if the question was, or a school exam, if the question was, Travis, you bought this property and you've been having it for 29 years with no major improvements to the property, how much can you depreciate this year?
Only.
Zero. If he had nothing, if he did nothing to it.
That's the answer for the question.
On the school.
29 years, no major improvements. What is the max that you could depreciate? 27.5. If it's been 29 years, what can you depreciate? 0. That's what you need to remember right now.
So
You can write, the answer is 0.
what's the cost of the building?
I don't know, I wasn't there when you bought it.
So that's gone. So whoever bought the property, they already, okay, say for instance, I'm buying a house now, right? Can I take advantage of this, or that's gone because
Okay.
whoever had the house potentially claimed that already?
The house was built 10 years ago? Okay. How many years do you have left?
17 and a half.
Boom. Answer for state exam is 0.
So,
In real life, you still have 17.5 years to go.
Claim
As long as costs, or when it was built was 10 years ago, you might be able to still deduct another 17.5, the new owner.
the new owner.
Yeah.
Okay.
okay.
Yes.
Okay, so I just want to get.
Don't talk about fix and flips, because they don't fall into this.
So depreciation is
That was
only
good.
permitted for improvements, so, like, for example, if I put 40,000 in improvements on the building, only that 40,000 gets depreciated, not the
Well,
building.
wait, 40,000 plus whatever already came from behind.
Okay.
So if you had 10 years into the property, you took over and you put an additional 40,000, then you might have whatever it was from before plus the 40,000. Might.
How would they get a record of that? From the previous owner?
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Usually we know when the house was built, even when we're selling, we'll know when it was built.
Well, that's the purpose of the permits and stuff.
At that as well. But here's the thing. Here's the thing. It doesn't matter. For city exam, it doesn't matter.
All right, let's move on then.
That's what I'm trying to say. Yes. Go. No, go ahead.
No, so I thought it was like if you buy the building, you can depreciate the building because the building.
Assets useful life. If you carry over from his, you might be able to. Here's one more thing. If it's your primary residence, that's another reason why you don't want the primary residence right away. If it's a single family primary residence, you can't deduct anything at all
No.
other than interest. She just had like a face here of like what just happened. You saw that, right? No, you didn't. Okay. Anyway, so if it's your primary residence, single family, you might not be able to deduct anything at all. This applies towards investment properties because that's what this chapter is all about. Investments. You guys got it?
Mm-hmm.
So the only thing in the single family that you might be able, single family that you live in, they might be able to deduct is interest paid on a mortgage and taxes. That's it. You want to improve your property? Go ahead. Out of your own pocket. The CPA will still ask you, did you put money into your property? Yes. Does that mean I get something back? No.
No, but if it's a two-family, you can take 50%.
50%.
And if it's a three-family, you can take 60%.
That's why I said primary single. That's why I try to get people away from single, get into multi. So if it's your primary residence, single, got it? But yes, if it's a two-family, 50%, three-family, and so on and so on. Got it?
Yes.
He's gonna go talk to his aunt. Bruno told me. I see you're taking your notes, like right here.
Go watch the video, it's live.
Mm-hmm. Anyway. All right, real quick. Deductions and federal tax laws. We might not get into the second chapter.
You might, let's go.
We can do this.
Not now. This section. Deductions and federal tax laws. Federal tax law limits the deductibility of losses from rental property. Provided, please highlight, underline, put stars, that the investor actively, circle actively, participated in the management and operation of the property and has a taxable income that falls within certain, next page, guidelines. Now, tax laws on deductibility of losses from rental property are complicated, in case you haven't noticed. In some cases, they're classified as passive losses with limited value against other income. And the investor's particular situation should be discussed with
CPA, your best friend.
cross CPA. You're going to write BFF. Instead of CPA, you write BFF. Sorry?
Right, Kevin's on. That's right.
Not Kevin. I'm sorry. Just kidding. Joke. It's a joke. She will become your best friend. Huh?
Why are you getting nervous? Chris
Who?
is getting all over you.
Oh, me?
Yeah.
No. I get red easily. I'm transparent. So. Anyway, look what it says in green. An investor may not use a loss from a passive activity, which is one in which a taxpayer is not an active participant, to shelter active income, such as wages or portfolio income, such as stock dividends, bank interest, or capital gains. An example of a passive investor is a limited partner, someone who contributes investment monies but has no voice in the operation of the investment. So what we're saying is very simple. If I bought this property and I'm the one that manages the property, if we lose money, I'm allowed to use that loss against my active income, my wages, my salary. So if I have to pay the IRS $30,000 because of my salary, I may be able to use that loss to reduce what I have to pay the IRS. But if it's a property that I don't manage, I just put money into, and somebody else manages the property, right? Then I'm a passive investor. A passive loss cannot go against an active income. What it means is that I cannot reduce what I have to pay the IRS here just because I was a passive investor.
Is that why people hire property managers?
I was talking more about being a silent partner. So there's general partners, there's silent partners,
Like angel investors?
for instance, which could be the devil as well, depending on the type of angel investor you got. There's angel investor clubs. Yeah, angel investor simply means they like your project, they're willing to help you out until, hey, you're supposed to pay me last week. Then they're not angels anymore. Just saying. Careful with the angel investor groups you participate in. Very careful. Because the way they draft their contracts, you lose the property before you even have it. Anyway, where was I? Tax credits. There you go. A tax credit is a direct reduction in tax due rather than a deduction from income before tax is computed. So what we talked about before was deductions. Here is direct credits that will automatically reduce your tax burden. So a tax credit is a far greater value. See, investors in older building renovations, low-income housing projects may use tax credits to offset up to $25,000 of other income. That means that even passive investors can take advantage of tax credits. So at this point, it doesn't matter if you're a limited partner or an active general partner. I want you to skip to the next paragraph, and it says, right here, the tax credits have been provided for taxpayers who renovate historic property. If you're renovating historic property or landmark property, then you have a tax credit of 20% of the money spent on renovation. So if you put $100,000 into renovating this property, you get $20,000 credit immediately. Whether it's active income or passive income, it's credit on the renovation. Good so far?
Yes.
Great. If it's non-historic, but placed in service before 1936, 10%. You didn't get any better, right? 10% instead of 20. But this is the one I really like, and the reason why I got stuck to Newark. The law also provides tax credits ranging from 4% to 9%, and now you're like, wait, how is that better than 10 or 20? The difference is this. Please underline. Each year, 4% to 9% each year over a 10-year period for expenditures on construction or renovation of certain low-income housing. So in historic properties, I get 20% back. In non-historic properties placed in service before 1936, I get 10% back. These properties, I get 40 to 90% back. The difference is it's over a 10-year span. Is that a bad deal? Not at all. That means if I put $100,000, I get $40,000 up to $90,000 back, but over a 10-year period. That's the only thing.
Give it back.
Yeah.
And our income property.
This is all for income properties. But the key here is low-income housing.
How is that determined?
Every county has their own rules for low income. So, believe it or not, even though with the prices the way they are, Newark is all low income. Yep.
Like if your property accepts people with Section 8 housing, then that.
You don't have to say people, like they're a different category. But yes, if they accept Section 8 housing, yeah. There's no income. I love those comments. Like those people, people on like welfare and stuff, those people. That's how he came out. If your property accepts Section 8 housing, yes.
It's like the girl. I just remember when you said with the hand, I was thinking about her saying, girl.
I have no idea. You have to go through the beepers.
Right? Anyway, keeping away. Installment sales contracts. In front of it, I want you to write land contracts. Installment sales. In front of it, write land contracts. You can put chapter 11 as well. Here's the last page of chapter 11. A land contract is similar to car financing or contract for deed because you only get the deed or title at the end. That means that over a period of years, you're getting paid on an installment basis. You don't get capital gains taxes because you didn't sell yet. The official sale is when the deed transfers. Because you're getting paid every year, right? You pay at the marginal tax rate. Right here. And that is the rate at which top dollar is taxed. So if your tax bracket is 30%, guess what? You pay 30% because that's income, active income. Some people might want that, other people don't. It all depends on how my taxes are being done. I might need that expense, or I might not. Things get complicated once you have several properties. Okay. Where it says real estate investment syndicates, do not highlight yet. What I want you guys to do here, except for Nella, she already highlighted the whole thing. What I want you guys to do here is just put a box around it. You don't have to highlight the whole thing. What I want you to focus on right here is this. We mentioned it in chapter 7, mention it again. Joint ventures are for a limited time. Next paragraph, and the one after, just put boxes around. The fourth paragraph, you're going to highlight where it says syndicate participation can take many different legal forms. From tenancy in common to joint tenancies to various kinds of partnerships, corporations, and trusts. See, a syndicate could be each one of us has its own LLC. We're just pulling resources together. That's all it is. Okay? All the way at the bottom, it says real estate securities must be registered with state officials and or with the Federal Security and Exchange Commission. Next page. When they meet the defined conditions of a public offering. Public offering, that means you're going into the stock market, for instance. Right? So salespeople of such real estate securities may be required to obtain special licenses and registration. It's not heavily tested, so I'm not too focused on this. That's why boxes around, remember a couple of things, and that's it. Okay? If you're going for a brokerage license, then it becomes heavily tested. So as discussed in chapter 7, there's different forms of syndicate. You have limited partnerships, you have general partnerships, for instance. What I want you to remember again from chapter 7 is this. The limited partners stand to lose only as much as they invest, nothing more. Good? Great. Any general partners are totally personally responsible for the excess losses they incurred by the investment. So limited partners, I put 10,000. How much can I lose? 10,000. General partners, I put $1. How much can I lose? Millions. Simple. General partnership is not measured by the amount of money you put in. It's just open liability, which goes beyond your investment and it goes beyond the business. Meaning you could be personally sued and they can come after your personal assets. That's why I don't like any kind of partnership. LLCs, maybe. Corporations, maybe. General or limited partnership, nope. Because it open, unless I'm the limited partner one. Then all I have to lose is whatever I put in, right? And even then, real estate investment trusts. We talked about this at the end of chapter 7. I told you, I'll talk a little bit more here. All you need to remember about REITs is this. A REIT must have at least 100 investors and at least 70% of the income must come from real estate. So if the question in the state exam or school exam says there's 83 investors and 100% of the income is real estate, is that a REIT? Why not?
Because you need 100 investors.
Because you need at least 100 investors. So the question is simple. This could represent all of these except. Talks about corporations, talks about LLCs, partnerships, or REITs. Correct answer is REITs. Because 83 investors do not constitute a REIT. You guys got it? Yes?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Just nod your head. Say yes. We're good. See. All right. Business opportunity sales. Business opportunity sales. What license are we getting here? I'm sorry. Real estate salesperson. Yes?
Yes.
Does it say, see, does it say real estate and business salesperson?
No.
No. So can we sell businesses?
I don't know.
You don't know?
I don't think so, no.
You don't think so?
The building
you
of
can.
itself,
Say it louder.
the building of itself, because
The building of a business?
if the building is the business. yes.
Ah. No.
No.
Yes and no. As long as there's title or a lease involved, we can. If there's no title, meaning deed, ownership, or a rental involved, then we cannot participate in it. What enables us to sell or help somebody sell a business or buy a business is the real estate portion of it. And you can charge more for it. That's the best part. Because I'm helping you sell your business and the real estate. So 10% commission, everybody's okay with it. Will you guys be okay with it? Of course. Say, this is the time you say yes.
Yes.
All right, 10% commission. Woo.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Oh, now you're awake. Great. Terrible. All right, highlight on top.
And it should be the, both parties, representing both parties.
Sure. Go ahead. Do it all. All right. Besides title to real estate, a present lease, the business may also be selling fixtures and stock and inventory, the business name, customer lists, goodwill, special rights, etc. Very important for you guys to ask. Are you including the name? Including the customer lists. Why is this important?
Because when you change the name of the business or whatever, you might have,
You might
Yes.
lose
yes,
customers. Very important.
where
There's a lot of people that buy a business, right? And their ego speaks louder. It says John's Restaurant, but my name is Mary. It has to say Mary's Restaurant. Well, John's Restaurant has been successful for over 20 years. Why would you change it to Mary? Be John for a day or two. The idea behind it is very simple. We're creatures of habit. Did you guys realize that
Yes.
in all your life? Did you realize that we have certain habits, right? We're creatures of habit. So I know some of you might be hungry as I am right now, but I have to do this. Imagine, picture the best meal ever. Travis is like, oh yeah. Imagine you're telling everybody here, Travis, this is the spot. You guys have to go there. As a matter of fact, right after class, that's where we're heading. Right? On you. So he's talking about it. Mouth watering already. Everybody's decided to go there. And we drive. As we're driving, we're pulling up and we see the sign change. It's no longer John's Restaurant, it's Mary's. He talked so well about that, what is your favorite meal?
Steak.
Steak and
Whatever.
steak and whatever, just steak.
Steak, yes.
All right. So imagine Longhorn changing names. Okay. So this steakhouse, juicy steak, right? You're there already, right? Aren't you?
I'm there.
Even the scent, the smell is already coming and all that stuff, right? So we're there. John's Restaurant is now Mary's Restaurant. Do you think Mary has the same steak? Probably not, right? Probably, we don't know. But because we're creatures of habit, as you're getting there, you see the name change, what's the first thing you do? How many of you would still go in? No hands? Wow. How many of you would turn around and go to the second best place?
I don't know.
You see what I'm saying?
Depends.
You'd give up the whole meal already. Like, nah.
Yeah. Pull up the McDonald's.
I love food, man, so if it's not right.
That's what I'm saying. You would walk away most likely.
Yeah.
You'd still go in? Hmm. That was like very doubtful. But anyway, if you guys notice, by changing the name, we lost 90% of our clientele because only one was like, yeah.
90.
But most of you said, I'm out. Right? Now imagine this. I tell this to everybody, especially when they're buying a business. Imagine this. You get there, we're all driving there, we still see John's restaurant. Nobody noticed a really tiny sign that says under new management. We walked in. We parked, especially here in Newark, there's no parking. So we're already parked. We walked like 10 blocks to get there. We're already inside, and we realize, wait a minute,
Who's that?
this is not John's restaurant. Something's different here. They did, the whole inside is different. Menu is different. You walk outside, you still, no, but this is John. We're in the right place. Guys, this is the place, I swear, right?
Yeah.
Travis is now sweating bullets. True story, this happened to me. Right? I went to a place, I recommend it highly. Like 5 of us go there.
Oh,
Where?
man.
Oh man. The place on 46, the sushi. Recommend it highly, right? Because I used to go there all the time. All the time. But that was years ago. It's still the same name, different management, different employees. It looks like the same menu, but the price a little higher and the amount. Anyway, food was good. Food was good, just smaller amounts.
What about you, right?
The hibachi, yeah. Hibachi, sushi, all that.
And
Anyway.
Imperial
Oh,
would be
man.
Nico.
Hmm?
Which one, Imperial?
Imperial 46. I used to love it back in the day.
Ah, she's shaking her head like. We
Oh,
were all
sorry,
like.
Imperial 46.
We were all like.
But you know what I'm talking about.
What's
I
going
don't
on?
know if you went there
When
years
did they
ago.
change owners?
I'm sorry?
How long ago was it?
I have no idea. I went there last year, and
A couple months ago.
anyway,
Everything.
you don't advertise something like that anymore. Don't. But anyway, but now that we're there, guess what happened? We sit down. Like, how many of you would, like, after parking, after all that stuff, the traffic, how many of you would now get out?
I was having attitude. I'll probably sit
I was the
there.
business.
We're having
I
an
was
attitude.
I would have an
Let's
attitude,
see.
like,
Yeah, I'm hungry. We're gonna eat.
You see what I'm, but
We
you
were
guys
all
see the
like-
difference? But you guys see the difference.
Mhm.
So the business name is key. If it's a bad business altogether, change the name right away. If it's been a good business, keep the name and change things slowly. But at one point, they should have said, we're not Imperial anymore.
we are, but we're new owners or something.
No, they should have changed that name because I wouldn't walk in there again. But you see my point, right? Customer lists. What about customer lists? If you're buying a business but not the customer list, then what are you really buying? Inventory?
Right.
That's it? Inventory? I won't buy any business because of inventory. I'll buy because of the customer that it has. Does that make sense?
Fine, so.
Clientele. All right. So these are the 2 things you have to be very careful. These items just listed are personal property. They can be included in the sales contract or maybe even be covered by a mortgage as a package deal, as we guys know, right? But they are not included in the deed, which transfers ownership of real estate only. Now, statute of frauds requires that all personal property worth $500 or more be evidenced by a written contract. So at the closing of a business sales transaction, a separate, what is it called?
Middle of sale.
Bill of sale. Because again, it's personal property. So a separate bill of sale should be executed by the seller for all chattels, stock, materials, and other personal property that is included in the sale. Here's the other one that's essential. The broker should gather as complete information as possible about the business. Realtors. Come on. Accountants' statements, like a profit and loss, a P&L. Very important. Give me the last 3, 6, 12 months. Let me know what you've been doing with your business. And also the past 2 years, income tax return. In fact, if it's a business, give me 3 years. Do you see what I'm saying? Do you know how many people buy businesses without even looking at what the business is doing? It looks great. There's a lot of people coming through. But the expenses are so high that it's not profitable. and now you're buying a business for X amount of dollars. If it was not profitable before, now it's even worse because you got a mortgage on top or financing on top. Does that make sense? So very important to ask for these. A lot of you guys don't. Just like this. Are fixtures and equipment leased or owned? What is their value? Is it transferable? Do you guys know if these tables and chairs are owned? What if they're leased? What if this is financed? What if the camera? What if, you see what I'm saying? You got to ask all these questions so that the new owner, when they come in, they don't get shocked by a creditor knocking on the door and saying, hey, we're taking all the tables. You know what? The chairs too. Your students can sit on the floor. You see my point? So you got to know these things. With that being said, next page, I want you to go to where it says Uniform Commercial Code. Uniform Commercial Code. It says right here that New Jersey has adopted the Uniform Commercial Code, which regulates the transfer of personal property. And the section of this code that is most applicable to the real estate business is Article 6, also known as Bulk Transfer Act. It says right here that in most businesses, supplies, goods, and services are constantly being purchased on credit and paid for as suppliers submit their bills. So in the beginning, no. You pay everything COD, cash on delivery, right? Everything right there and then. But after you build a relationship with a supplier, you ask them, hey, can I pay in 30 days? Good relationship, so hey, you know what, pay it in 60. You know what, net 90. 90 days, we're good. Does that make sense so far? So here's what happens. The Bulk Transfer Act is designed to protect creditors from the fraud perpetrated by the business owner who sells the business, including equipment and stock, and does what? Disappears, right? Leaving creditors unpaid. So I built a good relationship with you. I only paid 30, 60, or 90 days later. And then I sell the business, don't pay you anything, and let the buyer handle all those losses. In such a case, creditors cannot demand payment from the new owner unless it can be proved that the new owner had actual knowledge of the fraud. To prevent such fraud, Article 6 requires the following steps when the business is being sold. So just mark the bullet points for now and go all the way to the bottom after marking the bullet points. It says here that the seller is obligated to prepare the list of creditors and is responsible for its completeness and truthfulness. Look what it says on top. It is against the law to make false statements on such a list. So if I'm selling my business, I need to make a complete list of who I owe money to. Provide that to the buyer. Okay? If I'm lying, you can sue me. You guys got it? Mm-hmm. So after this, receiving this list, the buyer now, you guys in this case, right? Not the seller, you're the buyer. You guys are responsible and obligated to contact each creditor of the details of the pending sale and details of how their debts will be paid at least 10 days before the sale takes place. So the sale is going to happen 10 days from now. You should have mailed it out or contacted each single creditor. Pretty much to say, hey, I was told that this business owes you X amount of dollars. How can we resolve this? You got it? If they don't contact you back,
Which they will.
New Jersey statute of limitation on bulk transfers is 6 months. That means, unless the transfer has been concealed, creditors have 6 months to file any claim on title to personal property after this notice to creditors has been sent. So I'm telling you, 10 days from now, I'm buying the business. Is this how much I owe you? Yes or no? If you don't say anything after 6 months, how much do I owe you? Whatever's on that, whoa, easy. Whatever's on that notice. You might not have to pay anything at all if they don't come and claim it. But that notice was sent out that says, I owe you $10. You do not dispute after 6 months, how much do I owe you? $10. You come up with $100,000, hey, $10. You guys got it? Now, if the notice to creditors is not sent, and the business is sold without first paying existing creditors, A creditor may enforce a lien on the goods and equipment of the business as if they still belonged to the original owner. So if we never told anything to the creditors, say bye-bye to the chairs and the tables. Simple. You guys got it? What?
No.
We got plenty of time because we're not doing another chapter, so go ahead.
Even forgot. Sorry.
Okay. So the requirement of the Bulk Transfer Act are designed to protect the interests of the buyer as well as those of the seller's creditors in the sale of a business. Look what it says next. Non-compliance with this law is criminal offense in New Jersey.
Do you need to contact, like, make sure they got it, or can you just mail it out and say, hey? there it
You
is?
don't even have to send certified mail. Go ahead, go buy businesses. You know what to do now.
Damn.
Yes, damn.
You can throw the mail away.
Right? Just
I
take
mailed
a
it.
picture and say that you sent it. But how you
Or
gonna
send it
prove
certified mail, go there, wait for the mail, sign it. They got it. It's a joke. No, it's a joke. It's a joke.
Bruno,
It's a joke.
I know it's a joke, but
Non-compliance with
how
this
you gonna
law
prove
is a criminal.
If you send without certified, how are you gonna prove that you sent it?
State of New Jersey, you don't have to. Even lawsuits, the first mailer, the first notification of a lawsuit must be either hand-delivered by you or by a public officer, or by certified mail. The first one. The rules and procedures just claim that. All other notifications after that can go by regular mail. Yeah. All right. Real estate is not covered under the Bulk Transfer Act. Real estate, Malik is like, I love this class now. Watch him get $100,000 in his account now. Right?
You're making people nervous.
I see you guys' reactions. I just love it. Priceless. Kevin over there is taking all the notes he can.
I'm gonna read this chapter.
Screw Wells Fargo. You know, I really got a way to make money. All right, real estate is not covered under the Bulk Transfer Act. Just business, personal property. Make sure you underline, double underline, triple underline. Just business, personal property. Why is this important in real life? Not as much in state exam, but real life. Because if you're selling a business that includes personal property, this applies. But as you guys know from previous conversations in this class, or even in real life, there's a lot of properties that are being bought and put under a business name. For instance, we're at 18 Oliver Street. This could be called 18 Oliver Street LLC. 20 Oliver Street could be 20 Oliver Street LLC. So technically it's a business. But if the only thing being sold in that business is the real estate, this does not apply. We just read that. In real life, every time something is sold under a business name, automatically triggers the Bulk Transfer Act. That means they ask for escrow monies up front for potential fraud or potential taxes that are unpaid. You guys got it?
Yeah.
So here's what I have to tell you. CPAs can write letters to the state, to the IRS, and to the attorneys that are handling the transaction, right? Stating very simple, the only thing being sold is the real estate. There's no business personal property, therefore, Bulk Transfer Act does not apply. With that being said, you don't have to come up with any monies up front, which could kill the deal. You guys got it? But if you're selling a restaurant business with inventory, does it apply? Yeah. If you're selling a house that's under an LLC, does it apply? No. You guys got what I said? Deals could die because of this. Sorry. What's your question?
I thought the Bulk Transfer Act was regardless of that. So say an investor, an LLC business or whatever, right? They're selling an investor, they're selling their property. the bulk, they have to abide by the Bulk Transfer Act. Well, why do they do it anyway?
Real estate is not covered. Just business.
Automatically, because it's an LLC or a corp, whatever that presents itself as a business, automatically activates Bulk Transfer Act. The state does not know any better. The attorneys do not know any better. Only a CPA can tell you, write a letter, a formal letter saying, this does not apply. Under state statutes and federal statutes, this does not apply.
So if that LLC, say they didn't pay taxes, and I bought the house, if that wasn't signed off, then I owe the taxes.
Wait, we're not talking just about taxes. We're talking about business personal property and the possibility of frauds, of not unpaid creditors. So what they ask for from the LLC is reserves or escrow for that potential loss. But you're not liable for it. The house is now yours. They cannot put a lien against the house that's no longer the LLC. You got it? If the lien was not there before the closing, it cannot be there after the closing.
My attorney explained it differently.
Maybe you need a new attorney.
She said that
because I don't pay.
she said if she didn't request this Bulk Transfer Act and they didn't allow it, that she would make me sign a waiver to say that if anything was owed on the property.
Wait. Repeat that. If she didn't request what?
The Bulk Transfer Act.
If she didn't request what exactly under the Bulk Transfer Act?
Their tax disclosure or whatever.
The exemptions.
Yeah.
Yes, of course. That's why my CPA sends a letter, which is that disclosure for the exemption. If that's not part of it, then you could have problems. But that's why at every closing, there must be some type of disclosure. Otherwise, it could be a potential lien up to 6 months after the sale. You got it?
Something like that.
You want a copy of my letter from my CPA? That I've never paid bulk transfer fees?
Yeah. So if you're buying and someone say, if an investor said, if you request,
You can say Bruno said.
No.
Sorry.
they said if you request the bulk transfer, then we're not selling to you.
Look, we don't request a bulk transfer. The Bulk Transfer Act exists.
You know?
What we request is proof that you're not liable under the Bulk Transfer Act. It's just a simple letter that says whether you're liable or not, that you're exempt or not. So you don't request the Bulk Transfer Act. The Bulk Transfer Act is a rule or regulation. You request for, is there money in escrow to protect me, the buyer? Or is there an exemption from this?
Okay.
That's what you request for, the exemption. If it's business, there's no exemption. I have to pay. If it's real estate only, then it's capital gains to the LLC, not to the property. It's not business personal property. Again, this last statement is what enables it or not. You got it? You gonna talk to your aunt about it?
My brain hurts.
So there's no way we can get to chapter 18 in 24, right?
Try
No way we're gonna get to chapter 18.
in 25 minutes.
So I know you started your new class today. How's it going? And should I come on Thursday for chapter 6 and 7?
Going fine so far.
Oh, I need to go to Barney.
For chapter 3, I'm not the instructor, just letting you know. Tomorrow.
Give me back.
Who's the
You're welcome.
instructor on Thursday?
On Thursday is me. Everything still stands. The class has been good so far.
Another teacher?
Huh?
Another teacher?
I have, unfortunately, I have to go to court tomorrow, so I won't be able to be here. Tomorrow morning. In the evening, I'm here. And in the evening, we're going to knock out
2 chapters?
3 chapters.
3 chapters. 18, 19, and 20.
Are we gonna start at 6:30 or we're gonna start at 7?
6:30.
I started at 6:45. I don't know where you guys were. You showed up at 7:12. You showed up at
And I
7:12.
was online and when I got here at that time, you didn't even get to the first.
So you guys have